Hello, hello, it's me again, it's me again. Hello, hello, yes it is. That was the worst jingle yet. It didn't rhyme, it sounded awful. Well, actually, personally, I thought it sounded quite nice. Melodic, but not harmonic. I don't know what that means. So, hello. Hello, and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name is Jason Newland. Please only listen. Don't worry, it's my cardigan. Only listen when you can safely close your eyes. Couple of quick shout outs. One to Cleo. Cleo, you sent me a message via my website, I think. And somehow the message has gone missing. And it was to do with, I think you're from China. And you were telling me that something, I read it. And I was half asleep when I read it. I think I was in bed. And I read it and I thought I'll read that properly later. Because sometimes I read a message and I don't get huge amounts of messages. Although you can send me a personal message via my website if you want. Or on Facebook or whatever. Mind you, it's not a good advert because I might lose the message. But on this occasion I lost the message. So I didn't get a chance to reply, so I apologise to that. Apologise? I'm apologising to you. I apologise. And, I don't know what else I was going to say. Well, I'll start off. I went to Uncle Sausage's farewell ceremony today. And don't worry, I'm not going to be morbid or anything like that. I'm not going to go through that stuff. But it was kind of weird, had to be done. It's a standard procedure in our society here. And then I did do a little video in a cemetery outside because I got there quite early. I ordered a taxi yesterday for 8:30 this morning because I was going to say the show started at 9:30. Not the show, but the ceremony started at 9:30. It's only for 15 minutes, if that, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I think he's eating one of his treats. He's right off his food at the moment. But I think that's because I keep giving him treats. So it's kind of my own fault, but hey. I just sometimes think that he deserves treats. I want him to be happy, and I want him to, do things that he enjoys doing. And he enjoys chomping on his treats. He seems to get a lot of pleasure from that. Now, I'm not giving him just treats and no food. If he doesn't eat his food, then I won't give him any treats until he starts eating his food again. But he's been off his food for a day or so. But I have been giving him some of my food, which is just as good as the food he eats. So technically he's not really not been eating. And he's only a tiny little thing. He's the size of a parrot. He's not the size of a parrot. In fact, parrots are pretty bigger than him. Parrots are big, aren't they? Big old things. That's my impression of a parrot. I didn't put a lot of effort into that. I'll admit. I wonder what it sounded like if I actually did put some effort in. Right, okay. No, that wasn't any better. So yeah, so I ordered a taxi. This is a secret, not really a secret, but this is it's kind of something I discovered about myself more recently. If I order a taxi the day before, it gets me out of bed. It kind of forces me to get out of bed, because if a taxi turns up, I'm going to have to pay whether then they take me where I'm going or not. So it's just, if I'm lying in bed, which I do sometimes, that's probably the best place to lie, isn't it? Or lay. What's the difference between lying and laying? Because lying can also be telling fibs, can't it? Laying, sort of getting lied to. So getting lied, that's being, yeah, someone lying to you. But there's no, you don't get laid, do you? Oh, wait a minute. Okay. But anyway, once I'm in the morning, if I know I have to be somewhere, it doesn't matter what it is, where it is, or what it's for. For some reason, I struggle a little bit getting out of bed, which is part of the reason why I really, really try not to make appointments, including just meeting up with people. Because once I make an appointment, I start, for some reason, to be a bit fretty about it. To just start thinking about it. And I don't want to. That's my own issue, but hey. And of course, it's like, oh, so I didn't want to go to this thing. I don't like them. Well, nobody likes them, do they? No one wakes up looks at the weekend at their diary and thinks, oh, what have I got any of them things this month? Oh yeah, I've got one in 2 weeks. Yay! No. The goodbye ceremonies are not something that anyone wants to really go to, but it's important, I guess. I think it's fairly important. So anyway, I got up this morning. I set my alarm for 6 o'clock. I went to bed about 9 o'clock. Because I wanted to make sure that I was... normally I don't sleep for like 12, 13 hours, but this would have been one of the nights where I probably would. I'd wake up at 10:30 in the morning and feel so refreshed, but then also think, oh no, I've missed this event, which is important. So I wasn't going to allow that to happen. So I set my alarm on my phone. I don't have a clock. I don't have one clock. I don't have a watch that I wear. I do have 2 watches that I don't wear, but they were gifts, so I've kept them. But I don't have a clock on the wall. I don't have... Right, Vinny, can you make a bit more noise, please? Oh, thanks. I don't have a digital clock, like in the old days. I don't know if they still make them. I used to have one of them. I tell you, this is how old I am, right? I had a digital clock that had pieces of card that used to flip over. No lights, or maybe a background light, but a little piece of card that flipped over to change the time from like 2:59 to 3. It's weird. I can't remember I'm explaining it, but it's just like on a spiral, I guess. And yeah, that's going back a few years. I'm trying to think, when was the last time I had an alarm, like a digital clock? So I quite liked the radio ones, so ones that had a radio on. And I definitely had one when I was a kid. When I was 14, 15, that's for definite. I probably had one earlier than that as well. But I definitely had one then because I used to have paper rounds and also worked in a bakery. Sort of had early starts. There's no way I'd have got up without that, without the alarm. And I remember actually, this was, or even going to school, to be fair, even without the alarm, without even if I didn't have to get up early and just get up at a normal time, let's say 7 or 7:30 or whatever, to get to be at school for 8:45, I would still need my alarm. You know, when I was very little, I'd just get woken up. But this was the point where I just kind of got up on my own. There comes a time in every teenager's life when they don't want anyone walking in first thing in the morning. It's, yeah. No one likes being called tent boy, do they? Especially by the parents. So anyway, I went to. Oh, I remember once, right? I woke up to this song. This was when I was at school. Probably about 1983 or 1984, one of them. I'd say probably about 1984. Maybe 85, but I'm going to say 84 as a guess. Everything's a guess, really, especially when it comes to memory. Memory. And I woke up to this song that blew me away. Like, because it would be a radio station on, I don't know what it was. It was Radio 1 or who knows, I can't remember. Maybe just a local radio station. But I woke up to this song. And for some reason, for about a week, the same song was being played every time I woke up. A bit like Groundhog Day, which in some ways my whole was you could say my whole life is in it in some ways, but at school it did seem a little bit like that. Every day was like the same, getting up, blah blah blah, doing this, doing that, same kind of routine. But it was the same song. I didn't think that it was the same day. You know, I didn't like, oh no, I'm stuck in a time loop. I didn't have that issue. I wasn't worried about that. But I fell in love with this song. And the song was Dead Ringer for Love, Meat Loaf and Cher. Since I was about a baby hung around with joy, ooh, 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 a do 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 do, ooh, ooh, a do 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 do, do 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 do, baby, baby, rock and roll the blues, every dippy 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 dee. You know what? I've never got done for copywriting, like for having a copyrighted music in any of these recordings, like when it's on YouTube. Which means that none of my songs that I do ever sound anything even similar to the original song. I could sing you a whole song, Buddy Holly song that I've memorised. I don't know why, I just did. It's a new thing I've been doing. And no one would even know what I was like. Oh, that's nice. What was it? Well, they might not say that was nice, but I imagine people are saying nice things. If you're going to imagine people saying things, you might as well. Why not imagine them saying nice things? You know, it's the same things like, if I'm going to imagine people talking about me, then let them say nice things about me. It's a different way to look at things. People are planning. Maybe they're planning to give me a surprise birthday party. Yeah! Anyway, Dead Ringer for Love. I just couldn't get enough of it. I had not seen the video at this point. So this was like, okay, I'll say all week. This was the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. I'm partially making this up, as I always do, but, you know, it was like the first 4 days of the week at school. Thursday evening we had Top of the Pops, which was on, I do believe, 7:30, 7 or 7:30, and that was the one time of the week. It was one of the most important programs for, you know, young people or anyone that liked music, really. I mean, I watched Top of the Pops from being a little kid all the way till when they stopped showing it. You know, because it was a good opportunity to see who was in the charts, what was relevant, what people were listening to, up-to-date music, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say out loud. I'm way out of... I'm out of it completely now when it comes to music. The thing is, I like music in the 2000s, 2010s. Just, you know, I liked all like the new music that was out sort of 10 years before I moved here. I was watching video channels of music, and I was up to date with all of the latest music. It didn't stop me still loving the music that I loved before. It didn't, you know, I didn't like one new song I like didn't knock out another song from the past. It didn't erase that song, you know. But more recent years, I've kind of, yeah. I have tried. I'm going to try again. I think it's easier with the videos than it is listening. Like, hearing a song for the first time, I think it's more interesting to see the video because there's more going on. I think I know what I'm talking about. I think it is. It just makes it a bit more. But then there's that repetition, the repetition of hearing the same song over and over again, like on a radio. I remember. I don't know if I was listening. Did I hear this on the radio or I don't know? But it was. I didn't like it, and it was Beyonce, "Drunken Love," and I heard that, and I'm thinking, if I heard that on the radio, how did I hear it on the radio? Because I don't even listen to the radio. So I can't remember, you know, because a few years ago, unless it was just a music video thing that I was watching, a music video channel. And I genuinely thought it was the biggest pile. I just didn't. The video's good. But I did not like the song. I thought, this is not even cohesive. It's all off kilter. It's not a song. It's not melodic. It's I really just like, what was going on here? And then after hearing it a few times, I really liked it. I've been missing. I've been missing. I've been missing. I mean, I've mentioned this before, but Beyonce, I mean, she is, what a phenomenal voice. I think the thing is with her is she could have just as easily gone on and done kind of the same type of music, or the same kind of, I don't know what the correct term is, but it's like Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston or Celine Dion, or that kind of like balladish, because of her voice, how good her voice is. And she would have been successful, whatever she did. I think she'd have been successful because she's got such a great voice. But she chose to go a completely different way. And I mean, as far as I don't know if she writes all her songs or if she co-writes her songs. But yeah, so many. This wasn't supposed to be about Beyonce, but what's that got to do with Uncle Bananas? Not Uncle Bananas, Uncle Sausages. Sorry, that's what one of the neighbours called him. Uncle Bananas. Banana Man, which one of the neighbours' kids saw him on that day before he went into hospital, and she started calling him Banana Man from then on. But, you know, she's like 9 years old, so I can't. It's just, kids are innocent, and they kind of, you know, in that way. She didn't. She just found it funny that he was... Not funny that he was, because no one knew he was ill, but because he was a different colour, he was yellow, and she thought it was like he'd been eating too many bananas or something like that. Anyway, oh, it's a lovely picture of him in Thing today, and he had this. He was holding an umbrella, and it's really weird because you know when you meet someone when they're. Is it okay to say elderly? Someone when they're 78. Sebastian calls me elderly. 10 years ago, he was calling me elderly, but. If you don't know who Sebastian is, he's my arch enemy. He's listening to this right now. This will make him smile. Blimey, Finny, that was really loud. Even I heard it. Even Uncle Sausages heard it. Let's stop it. So yeah, I was... You know, it's loud. Wow. That is really, really noisy. What was I saying? Oh. Beyonce. It was weird because she's so glamorous. She's doing an award show, and I think she was singing on an award show, like big, spectacular, maybe it was the Oscars or one of those kind of places, and she's there with this stunning dress. Not that I really appreciate stunning dresses, but it was, even I could see it was clearly a lot of work put into getting dressed up, playing dress up. So she looks probably like $1 billion, because she is $1 billion heir, isn't she? But she looked. Imagine she took hours and hours and hours and hours and hours getting ready for that performance, just with the clothes. Probably took a whole team of people to put that together, because it's quite outrageously fab. Anyway, she's singing. She comes out singing, and all the audience are loving it, and being watched by millions, maybe billions of people around the world. This live event, and she's singing a song, and then it's time for her husband to come on and accompany her with one of her songs, JZ, and he pops on. And he sort of walks on in these... I don't know what he was wearing. They were kind of like tracksuit bottoms that were half hanging down his bum, and I don't know, she looked like she was there. She looked like she was there to basically be crowned a princess, like it was a royal wedding. He looked like he'd lost his mop. He's like, where? I left it somewhere. You know, it's just the way he was dressed. I mean, not. I dressed bad. But he probably everything he was wearing was probably one of his socks probably cost more than my entire life's earnings. But I just did the biggest sneeze in the world just then. Even Vinny stopped and looked at me like. Normally, he'll have a look and he'll carry on. But this time he actually said, "Are you okay? Are you all right? Do you need help?" I don't know why, but it made me laugh when I saw him come on stage. He hopped on stage and was like grabbing his crotch, and I was like, I beat the Buddha back, and I beat the Buddha back. And I'm thinking, I don't know. Because he's about 70 now. And I don't know. See, I used to love Eminem. Eminem. Back in the late 90s. You know, when he was, I would argue, say, at his peak. With Stan and, you know, that album. Really liked that album a lot. I'm listening to it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. But he was in his 20s. And he was dressing like that. He's now in his 50s and he's still dressing like that. And I don't know, he had a song recently and it was about basically getting Slim Shady back or something like, and there's like a video where he's got him when he was back in his 20s competing against each other or something. And there's no rules. They're like, okay, well, someone in their 50s can't. Because clearly I'm an example of someone in their 50s that are pretty amazing, but But you can't see me. If it's kind of like if I was. Yeah, I think there's the thing. There's an old saying, isn't it? You know, some say, oh, you got a voice for radio. Well, I've got a face for radio. It's the best place. Although this isn't radio, but this is the modern day version of radio in a way, isn't it? It's just you choose your own show. So instead of listening to me at 9 o'clock in the evening on a Friday night or whatever, you can listen to me whenever you want. Yeah. And there's no news bulletins, there's no music there, so it's better in some ways, but also a lot worse in other ways, maybe. Anyway, I think JZ was alright. I like some of his stuff. The stuff he did with Eminem was good, but it just, I don't know, I think there's something about it would be, because I'm thinking when Eminem's like in his 70s, is he still going to be doing this? Is he still going to be dyeing his hair black, which he does now? And and you can see it's black and his beard's black, dyed. Because he You just can tell. It's weird the amount of people I see who have got clearly jet black dyed beards. And you know how you can tell? Because their beards are jet black. That's how you can tell. Because generally anyone over the age of 30 is going to have the odd grey. I know some people do, like, you know, tweezer them out. I used to do that. I did. It's amazing. I used to do that at the front of my hair. And someone said to me, you shouldn't do that. You've only got a few grey hairs. Don't tweezer them out at the front of your hair or the back of your head, because that part will start to recede or go bald. And I laughed at them. Who's laughing now? Not me. No, I didn't. Why would you? Why would I tweezer the hairs in the back of my head? I can't see them. It's really weird. Why would that part? Because that's a part on a baby's head, isn't it? That's the fragile part for the first few weeks or whatever. So, why would that part go bald? Anyone? I reckon I'll still have hair in 10 years. I do believe. And I don't mean just at the sides, because I don't see the point in doing that myself, personally. Just for me. If I'm going to be bald, I might as well just be bald. You know, if I'm going to shave my head. But then I'm starting to feel more attached to my hair now that it's going. Now that it's leaving me. It's like the end of a bad relationship, and I'm like begging, oh please, I can change, don't leave me, I can change. I can start changing my underpants more than once a month. I can change. You know, it's like, but the hair's having none of it. Like, no, we're leaving. But they don't. But it's not a quick, like, a quick leave, a quick gone. It's like, we're going to leave you, but we're going to spend years doing it. Oh, thanks. I've never really had any of those moments where I've been washing my hair and like a big amount comes out. Thankfully. It's just, it's like gradual, very gradual. I mean, I know I've had friends that had alopecia where just like clumps of coming out, and it's like they didn't know what the heck was going on. And yeah, I had a friend a long time ago. He had alopecia, and back then they didn't know what was causing it. I mean, I'm sure there's not like only one thing that can cause it, but I know stress, and I know someone who's, when he changes his lifestyle, the alopecia stops. Right, that's all I'm going to go into that, but he has a certain lifestyle. When he changes that lifestyle, when he stops doing what he's doing, his alopecia clears up. And some people, if they get out of the stressful situation, that can also help. But then there's other people that I think perhaps there's no reason for it. There's no logical explanation. I wonder if I've got alopecia on the top of my head. Maybe that's just a temporary bald spot and it's going to grow back. Yeah, I'm clutching at something. Oh, guess what? In my local fields, Vinny got me walking. He basically, we went to the end of the road because I took him out. I took him out this morning before going to Uncle Sausage's farewell, and so that was about 6 o'clock this morning. And then I had to really, like, I didn't want to get ready, didn't want to go out, but I knew I had to have, this is afterwards. So I'm out in the park at 6, come back. It's light still at 6 in the morning, which is good. And then about 7:30, I go and have a shower. And as soon as I get up and go in the bathroom and start having a shower, Vinny is very attentive to what I'm doing. He's watching me. I can't see him watching me because I'm in the shower and there's 2 doors closed, but I know he's listening. I mean, technically, I can't know that he's listening, but just because I know him so well, he seems to know when I'm going out, when I'm getting ready to leave him. And no, it's not the only time I have a shower is when I leave him, because that literally would be 3 times a year. So I'm not quite that bad, but it's been more often recently because of Uncle Sausages. Last week I had to leave him Monday because I had a doctor's appointment. I've still not received the results of the blood test. And then on previous to that, the last time I went out was beginning of August. So yes, it's been a while, but he started to get used to me going out every day or every other day, and he didn't, he kind of got used to it to the point where he didn't like it. Still caused a bit of a fuss, but he seemed to be accepted it. But now he's gone back to his old ways where he would not put up with it. Not even for me just to go and put a rubbish bag into the rubbish bin downstairs. It's like, I'm literally coming straight back, Vin. Nope. No, you're not. You're never coming back. But I am. So what I do is I leave the door open. I don't leave the front door open, but I leave it so it doesn't close, Well, that's open then, isn't it? No, what I mean, it's not wide open. It's not pushed open. It's not kept open by a door opening device. But it's kind of, there's a gap, a little gap, so he can hear me, so I can talk to him. So if he barks, I can talk to him as I go down the stairs. All right, Vinny, I'm just taking the first step now. I'm not leaving. I'm coming back. I'm halfway down the stairs now, Vinny. I'm coming back, I promise. I'm near the bottom of the stairs now, Vinny. Okay? Just calm down. And then I shout to him, I'm going out. Ha! See you later. And I run off. He doesn't like that. But he's quite cool. If he can hear me, he's usually okay. Usually. But today, what was I talking about Vinny for? Oh yeah, this morning I just couldn't. But I was getting ready, and he caused a fuss, such a fuss. I just feel a little bit guilty leaving him, because I know how much he doesn't want me to. Well, I know, yeah, he doesn't want me to. Isn't it? There's no I don't know what's going on in his mind, and I've got no thermostat to check his emotional levels. But I've spent nearly 3 years with him, 24 hours a day pretty much. So I've kind of got to know him pretty well, I would say. he don't like me leaving him. Yeah, I think that's pretty certain to say that. Doesn't like me leaving him. So I contended with that, but I ordered a taxi and I was getting ready. A taxi got it early, so it was here about 8:20, or maybe 23 minutes past 8, but it was early. But I thought, well, I'm ready, but I was still doing the last few little bits, putting stuff into a carrier bag and, things like that. Make sure I had a couple of bottles of water and had my phone. What else? On my wallet. I always have my keys because I always lock the door before I leave, so I can't leave without my keys. Unless, of course, if I lost my keys, then I'd be in trouble, but it's not something generally that happens. Although I did lose my wallet. I thought I lost... What? Technically, I thought I'd lost my wallet because I couldn't find it. But that is losing your wallet, isn't it? Isn't that literally the literal meaning of losing something? Not being able to find it. So I had indeed lost my wallet. But I also hadn't lost it, because it was in here somewhere, and I did find it, but it took quite a bit of searching, and it was underneath a bunch of paperwork. I think it was either on that table over there or the other table, which is meaningless because you can't see where I'm pointing, can you? Oh well. But temporarily I'd lost it. And I did really think that I was going to have to phone the bank, cancel the card. That's it really. There's nothing really much else in there. My bus pass. I think that's it. There's nothing else in there. There might have been £10 or £20 in cash, I think. It's always handy to have a little bit of cash for emergencies. Just because I had a problem before. This was during my travelling to the hospital every day, where the credit card machine didn't work in the taxi. And I tried it twice, and it still didn't work. Luckily, I think I had about £100 in cash in my wallet that I'd drawn out the day before from the cash machine, because I knew it was going to be expensive. I was going to have to buy stuff in the hospital and get drinks and food and stuff for me and Uncle Sausages. So I had this cash, but I wasn't going to use it in the taxi. I was just going to use the card in a taxi. So I paid the card. I tried it twice, didn't work. It turns out it was the machine that was faulty, not me. And I said, look, I literally just got paid yesterday. I know there's enough money in there. And I showed him. I looked on my phone. And I said, oh, is that all you got? I said, yeah, come on, that's rude. He said, you're rude. And he said, are you going to keep saying that when anyone says you're rude? And then you say you're rude. Is that... You've been doing that for 7 years. Can't you try something different? I said, I'm always trying different things. Always. I'm going to talk about squirrels again in a minute. What do you mean again? Okay, not again, but I haven't talked about squirrels for a while. And I was going to talk about squirrels. And that was perhaps going to be my new thing. What, a new thing about squirrels? What is it then? I said, well, I can't tell you now. That's going to ruin it for everyone. I want it to be a surprise. Okay. Well, is it a story? Is it a pun? Is it a joke? What's a story? It's just a little story, but it's something that will delight your world once you hear it. He said, really? Well, tell me now then. I said, no. So I paid him the cash, got out, and I ran home. because I just thought he was going to chase me until I told him what the story was. And the next day, right, I get into a taxi. I try and use the card, debit card. I don't have any credit cards, but a debit card, and it declined it again. I'm thinking, what? So I pay cash. I go into, on the way, I go into the petrol station. It declines it. Declines my card. And I put in the code. Still declines it. I go to the machine outside. Declines. Luckily I got my card back. It didn't steal my card. So I paid by cash in the petrol station, because it was only to get a couple of drinks or something. It wasn't anything big. And I'm thinking, wow, this is not good. I get to the hospital. I go into Costa's to buy some coffee. I think I might have got one myself. The thing is, I don't drink coffee very much. And I realise now why. I can't drink coffee. It makes me feel unwell. But I used to drink coffee. There was a time when I used to drink coffee like really regularly, like multiple times a day. And even going back many years, I've been on and off the coffee. I've gone years without drinking coffee, and then I go periods when I'm just drinking it a lot. I can't drink it really anymore. Makes me feel ill, gives you palpitations and stuff. It's just a bit too much. So, anyway, I got this coffee. I think I got 2 cups of coffee, because I thought, I'll treat myself. I'm getting him a coffee. I think it was a bit of a cloudy day that day, because this was during when Uncle Sausages first went to hospital. It was probably the hottest week on record in this country ever. It was like really, really hot. You know, just really hot. On those days, we didn't have coffee, or he didn't have coffee. But he did have air conditioning in his ward. It wasn't like a proper air conditioning. It's one of those things where they stick a big tube out the window. One of those things. What I mean, it wasn't inbuilt to the structure of the building. That's what I mean. It did the job, definitely. And if anything, they're probably better, because they're dealing with direct air. So you're not just spreading it all around the entire building, which I think is probably a good idea for a hospital not to have air conditioning. Spreading the air from one ward to another doesn't seem like a very good idea, generally, if I think about it. Not that I'm an expert on ward air. So I got some more bottles of water delivered today. So I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I 7 packs of 12. Is it 12 or 6? Possibly 7 packs of 6. I don't know. So and I got some more face wipes, some more. What else did I get? Because I've been stocking up for the rest of the year, and I'm quite pleased with how it's gone, because okay, it's not food. I mean, the closest thing to anything I've got there that's food, well, water is the most important thing in the world, isn't it, to have? But apart from, okay, most of it's not going to be going into my mouth, other than the water and the tea bags. I don't mean I eat the tea bags, I mean, you know, for tea. And I've got enough tea bags to last me for the rest of the year as well. So that's good. But everything else is just like mouthwash, toothpaste, deodorant, toilet paper, washing up liquid. Just trying to think. I've also got quite a few. Yeah, I've got quite a few boxes of cereal now. So I've got like 5 or 6 boxes of Ready Brek, about 6 boxes of muesli. So, you know, it's just getting stocked up ready so I can. It wasn't really about getting stocked up on food, but that's food, isn't it? But it's definitely going to be handy, because if I suddenly didn't have a penny, I can still eat. I've got my breakfast cereal, I can have that. I've got water, I've got, you know, so I've got the bare essentials. I'm not going to run out of toilet paper anytime soon. The only thing that I need more of is shampoo. Don't laugh. When I get in the shower, I still shampoo my hair twice. I do. Do you know people always? You know people are always looking. Those kind of people are always looking for a blame. Always looking for a reason to blame. You know, it's because of that. It's because you do this. Because you do that. They're the ones that be thinking it's because you shampoo your hair twice a day. That's why. That's why it's falling out. It's not why. Trust me, I've gone periods where I've not washed my hair for periods of time, and it's still falling out. It's not because of that. Besides, I've had a shaven head most of my life, really. I don't shampoo my hair when I've got a shaven head. I might give it a little bit of shampoo, but that's it, just for the scalp. But I don't have to do much when it's shaven. And my hair's been really, really short or shaven most of the time since 2002. And there's been periods when it's been really long and bushy. But generally, that's when I look baldest, is when it's long. That's when you can see the big gaps between follicles. It really stands out. It's like, wow. It's almost like I mean, it was so frizzy and long. I remember my friend Luke, he said, hold on a sec. I said, what? He just walked over to me and he parted the because I used to have my hair kind of back but sort of standing up. He didn't like it. He said, just shave it off. I said, no. I said, you're just jealous because I've got hair. He didn't like that because he was bolder than me. That's why I said it. Anyway, he came and said, wait a second. The thing is, he suited being bald. That's the problem. He looked good. It didn't matter if he had hair or not hair. He looked good. He was a good-looking bloke, and he had the right face structure for being bald. I don't have that. I don't have the right face for baldness. It's not fair. Anyway, he came up to me and he said, oh, stay still. I thought there was a spider in my hair. That's what I thought. Like a little money spider. Because he was very superstitious, and he's, you know, apparently if you get a money spider, don't you like put it, you swing it around your head twice or something, and then money will come into your life. He's one of these people that used to salute at magpies. Seriously. He once said to me, right, okay, oh, don't, because I think my hair was, I grew my hair really, it was really out of control. And he said, I don't wear it, we'll go out. I said, because we wanted to go to the petrol station. He said, can't you do something with your hair? I said, what? He said, I don't want to be seen in public with you like that. Right? So he was embarrassed by me. So on the main road, all these cars going past, he's worried about me. I think I'm wearing a hat just to cover my hair up. What does he do? He stops and he salutes a bird. What did I call them? Not pigeons. The ones that steal stuff. He actually salutes one of them. And he's worried about embarrassing me. And I said, you're embarrassing. I said, that was embarrassing. My hair, you're saluting magpies while there's traffic. There's people on the bus going past looking at us, or looking at you. And he said, well, what's weird about saluting a magpie? Well, there's two things. First of all, you're saluting a magpie. In itself, that's weird. And it's the kind of salute you were doing. No, I'm joking. So, that's been illegal for 70 years, that kind of salute. So, yeah, no, I think, because he walked up to me, so I'm sitting here. And he said, wait a second, and I think he's like a money spider or something, so, or, because it was in the summer, I thought maybe something had got there. He parted my hair. And he said, I can't believe it, what I found. I thought, oh, here we go. He's going to make some joke about, he's daddy long leg or something, And he said, I've just discovered a new rainforest tribe in your hair. And have made up like this whole... And he was going on about how they'd, built this new little settlement on my bald patch. It's very, very rude. And I thought, this is ridiculous. The weird thing, but then, right, get this. I'm sitting here. The smoke alarm goes off. I'm like, why has the smoke alarm gone off? I'm not cooking anything. It's weird. I go out. I turn it off. I had to put a stick. I'm not tall enough to reach it, but Luke was tall enough, so I did it a couple of times, and I was like, it kept coming back on again. So I called him up and said, can you have a look at my fire alarm, my smoke alarm? Because he was quite good with stuff like that. The way I was thinking is just take the thing off, disconnect it, or see if it needs new batteries or something like that. Because I can't. It's like, wheel, 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 continuously. He came up, and I said, look. The first thing he said is, First thing he said is, it's your smoke alarm. I said, I know what it is. I can hear it. He said, all right. I said, that's why I called you up, to help me with that, because I don't know what to do with it. He said, we tried turning it off. There's a button you press. I said, I know there's a button. I have done that. I've used the broom handle. He said, why don't you use the mop handle? I said, JZ's lost it. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? The way I kind of connected it back to earlier. Anyway, Beyonce's fuming and furious. And he said, what? I said, don't worry about it. And I said, can you sort it out? He said, all right. He turned it off. He just pressed it, because he was a lot taller than me. He was about 9 foot tall. He had to bend down to press it. And it came on again. And he said, well, you've got something... Obviously, you've got something setting it off. Are you cooking something? And I said no, and he opened, he said no, nothing. He looked in the kitchen and nothing. He looked in the bathroom. I said, I don't cook in the bathroom, do I? He said, I don't know, with you. I said, what does that mean? He said, it doesn't matter, but, you know, you do some weird things sometimes, Jay. So, okay. And so I just turned my back on him. I'm like, I don't know what to do next. The alarm goes off again. And he's like, presses a button. At this point, he starts laughing and pointing at me, which was a little bit rude. And I said, why are you laughing? And he couldn't stop laughing. He's like, he couldn't talk because he was laughing so much. I said, why are you laughing? He said, I just seen where the smoke's coming from. I said, what? He said, do you know that little tribe on your board patch? They've started a fire. They're having a little bonfire. They're having a big cookout or something. That's when I knew perhaps I needed to shave my head. Because I think it's bad, right? Because I actually, at the hospital, there was an emergency, because this was in the summer. There was lots of emergencies, I'm sure. But there was this serious thing. The helicopter came down. Everyone was watching, looking at the sky. But everyone, it was like a ambulance, emergency ambulance, whatever it is. Ambulance, helicopter ambulance. Is that what they call them? So it was a little light coming down. Everyone had their phones out or looking at everything. And they were looking at it, so up in the sky, and I'm looking at it thinking, okay, well this is interesting. I've never seen a helicopter. I've seen one land in a field a couple of times, but I've never seen one land at the actual hospital. And they're all looking up with their phones, and I'm thinking, oh, it's like, come on, you've seen a helicopter before, why? And I'm sure the people getting out of the helicopter don't want to be filmed. They don't want you all staring at them. And I kind of mumbled that. And suddenly, one person points their phone at me. And another person points their phone at me. And I got about 15 people pointing their phone at me. And I'm thinking, oh, I said that too loud. And I said, I didn't know what to say. I was a bit embarrassed. Well, it turned out, what actually happened, they didn't hear me say that. It turned out a helicopter was trying to land on my bald patch. That was very long-winded, wasn't it? I think if I made it shorter, maybe. Oh dear, I don't do short really, do I? Everything I do is long-winded. It's kind of supposed to be. So I get there early to the farewell ceremony, and I see these squirrels. So there's this whole green area, like trees and shrubbery and flowers, and it's really lovely. I mean, it'd make a lovely garden to walk around in. You know, if I was in let's say if I was in a residential care home or something in my older years, that's something I'd quite like to walk around, because it's nature, but it's contained. It's not huge, but it's definitely big enough to go for a nice walk if you kind of go in a circle. And having a cemetery there would be quite handy, wouldn't it? As well, save travelling. So, but I'm walking around and I see these two things. I'm hearing a rustling, and I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. Now, you already know it's coming from the squirrels, because I mentioned the squirrels too soon, didn't I? But let's forget that I mentioned the squirrels. it erased that. So I'm walking through this like covering, and it was like a wooden structure that was built, and it looks like it's been built to commemorate a specific person. And so it's a lovely little structure. I think there might be some seats in there. So I'm walking through there, really, really being careful with my footing, my walking, trying to be calm and quiet. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna turn the corner. I don't know what I'm gonna see. Like, you know, it's squirrels, so I don't know why I'm even going through this part of the story. But anyway, I turn around, I'm looking, I'm thinking, I wonder if it's another gardener. I wonder if it's someone asleep. When I say asleep, not buried, and not someone trying to dig themselves out. I don't mean like that, it's not zombies. But I wondered, and I thought, maybe it's someone pitched a tent and they're sleeping there. And I thought, well, I don't want to disturb them if they are. It does look like somewhere that maybe someone would climb over the fence, set a tent up, because it's quite quiet and secluded. But I imagine they'd be asked to leave, if they were seen during the day. I thought maybe it's birds. I mean, it's squirrels. Or I don't know why I'm going through all the different particular what it might have been. It might have been a UFO. No. Anyway, I turn around and I see these squirrels running along the grass. And because we're nearly in autumn, there's quite a few leaves on the ground already. And a lot of the fruits dropping off the trees, the nuts off the hazelnut trees, and I think they have hazelnuts, don't they? And different things like that. So I see these things running across the ground, and I'm thinking, "Ooh, wonder what they are." But we all know it was squirrels. But they were grey squirrels. Now, I don't know. I think I'm correct in saying that in England. No, is it the grey squirrels? Is it the red squirrels that we don't see anymore much? Anyway, these were grey squirrels, and they really matched the tree that they were climbing up and down. But they were climbing up and down backwards, like climbing down the tree forward. It's like, how? I felt like going up and saying, how do you do that? But I suppose the answer would be, well, you need to be a squirrel, mate, don't you? You need to be a squirrel. You can't do this in the same way as I can't walk around in them weird shoes of yours. I said, Bob's shoes aren't weird. What's weird about them? They just laughed and ran off. Sometimes that's the worst insult, isn't it? When you don't get an explanation, but there doesn't seem any logic behind the insult. So if someone laughs at my pink Crocs, okay, fair enough. Maybe to some people, bright pink Crocs look like a weird thing for an adult male to be, a very young, handsome, particularly sexy adult male like myself to be wearing in public. But I happen to like the colour pink. I do. I like pink. I mean, when I was in my 30s, early 30s, probably about 34, I was walking around in pink and white. Like pastel kind of pink and white, like pink tops. Almost daring someone to say something, which is a bit silly really, but it's like, I looked awful. I really did, because I shaved my head, and there's a picture of me in the newspaper when I was doing the free pain relief service in 2006. I looked really bad. You know, I wasn't, because I'd gone from being slim to putting a bit more weight on. Because in 2004 I lost weight. 2005, 2006 I put the weight back on. So I did not have a six-pack. It's like the old joker, I don't have a six-pack, I now have a keg. Something like that. I had a whole pub. And I had a degree of confidence for no reason. I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna wear some nice clothes, but at the same time, I'm gonna look ridiculous, and I'm not gonna care. And some of the stuff I wore wasn't. Maybe it might have been too young for me even then. I mean, I'm not talking about I wasn't walking around in a school uniform, but it might have been maybe what I was. I've never been particularly. I would say, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but just from my experience of myself, my eye for fashion is a little bit short-sighted. It needs glasses, you know. It needs a telescope. I can't really. I've never really had that. I've had a little help with fashion in the past. A few little, like, being took shopping to get clothes. But even then I'm thinking, really? You want me to wear that? And I remember I had like 2 dates, 95. One said to me, because she took me shopping and bought me some clothes, and she said, because I always used to have my shirt hanging on the outside, but this is when I was really slim. She said, tuck it in, need to tuck it in. So I started tucking it in. And then the next female I went to a date on, had a date with. Because I was always tucking everything in from then on, thinking that every woman on the whole planet loves shirts tucked in, which is a silly way to think. I think it's only about 92%. So this next lady I dated, she said, do us a favour. I said, what? Untuck your shirt. So I untucked my shirt. Now, if you do have your shirt tucked in, don't tuck it into your underpants. Because she was saying, why is it all damp at the front? I said, don't worry about it. But, I'm gurgling, my stomach's gurgling. I had a fried breakfast this morning after the ceremony. Went and had a fried breakfast. So basically, the people that was there was me. There was more pallbearers than there was audience members. Okay, technically we weren't audience members because it wasn't a show. Oh dear, I'm using the wrong words. I did that when I was in the hospital. I kept saying it's all about customers, like they're patients. They're not customers, they're patients. It's like, okay. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. 6 were carrying the thing to the altar. The altar to the thing at the front, ready for the sacrifice. So no one, and there was someone who was walking in front. So there was 7 of them. There was me. There was his old friend that he's had for years. His old friend's husband that he's also known probably maybe as long as he's known her. And then her father, who is like 94. 4 of us. 7 people working in the church bit, whatever it is. 4 of us. And one of those was doing the ceremony. He was holding the ceremony because he's a pastor or I don't know, whatever. So we left, went to a carvery and had a cooked breakfast. Now here's where it all went a bit wrong. Not wrong in a bad way, but when she said yesterday, oh, we're going to go and get some breakfast afterwards, I said, cool, I'm up for that. So they gave me a lift to there. They gave me a lift home as well, which was lovely. But we went to this place, and I'm thinking, good, we'll just order a breakfast. And they'll bring us a breakfast. But no, it was self-service. Now, I didn't realise this. So I go in, and the first thing we do is just go to the bar and order some drinks. And I said, I think let's have a Coke, please. And I think 2 of us had Cokes, 2 of us had lemonades or something like that, or fruit juice, I forget. And the lady behind the counter said, yeah, it's all you can refill. I said, okay. I didn't like that idea. I wanted a bottle. I wanted like something from behind the bar. I didn't want to have to walk over there and get it. I felt lazy. I felt particularly lazy. Plus, I didn't want to walk around when other people were eating. I just wanted to sit down at the table and just sort of stay there until we left. Like walking around like it's my new living room or something, you know. It's all these people doing in my home. So I thought, it's what? All you can refill? Yeah, all you can refill. Like, well, in no world am I going to drink more than 1 pint of Coke. Pretty much in a day. I don't drink Coke anymore. It's like I have a little bit. And I thought I'd treat myself. And then I said, okay, fair enough. She gave me a glass. And then someone mentioned, yeah, that it's over there, it's the Pepsi. I said, Pepsi? That's not Coke, is it? And she said, what? I mean, this is someone that works behind the bar telling me, I asked for Coke and she points me towards a Pepsi machine. I was like, no, I didn't want Pepsi, I wanted Coke. I'm terrible, and I am so precious. And I said, I'm not really a big fan of Pepsi. I'll have it if there's nothing else, but I said, have you got Coke behind the bar? She said, we've got them in bottles, not on tap. I said, could I have a bottle, please? She said, okay. And the bloke next to me, the other, what's her name, his father, said, I'll have a bottle as well. See, he clearly also didn't fancy going up and waiting in a queue to get his, refill or to get that. So we got a bottle each. And she gets the glasses and she starts putting ice in the glass. I said, no ice, please. I really felt like I was being one of those annoying customers, and I genuinely wasn't trying to be annoying. In fact, I told her that. I said to her, I hope when everyone left and went, I said, I wasn't trying to be awkward then. She said, yeah, don't worry. She said, I wasn't listening anyway. I said, okay. But again, the man next to me said, oh, no ice for me either. So she seemed to get the ump with that, the lady behind the bar. I don't know. I mean, it was, it's quite a nice day. I don't know if it's just standard to have ice, but I never, and I do mean never, have ice in my drinks, ever. It's just something I've learned. Not since I was like in my 20s. It's just one of the things I don't. The same way I don't drink tap water. I always have bottled water. It's one of my little idiosyncrasies, maybe. Maybe, baby. Maybe, baby, I had you. So then, right, I'm thinking, okay, well, great. Where's the menu? There's no menu. What do you mean? So I've taken the drinks down, would put them on the tables. She said, oh, there's no menu, you just go and help yourself. Really? Self-service. What's next? Do I have to actually cut the food up myself and put it in my own mouth? I was like, what's going on here? The world's changing, baby. I mean, I know I don't get out much, but come on. So I'm going there. It's like, what's going... Self-service food, I've never... It just... yeah. Most of it was cold. Not cold, it wasn't hot. It was kind of warm. I'm not moaning. I guess I am moaning, I know, really. But I had a few bits. I grabbed a sausage for Vinny to bring back. He was being all grumpy with me. I wonder where we get it from. Has he got grumpy from me, or have I got grumpy from him? I don't know. I think he was grumpy before he even got here. He's very temperamental, unlike me. So I was last in the queue, so I had my breakfast. I just let everyone do their thing first, and then I got a few bits for me, and I'm just like, okay. There was a Yorkshire pudding, like a breakfast Yorkshire pudding, and I had one because I don't think in my entire lifespan I've ever eaten a Yorkshire pudding with a cooked breakfast, ever. And then a couple came behind me, and the lady said, why is there a Yorkshire pudding there? And he said, it's a breakfast Yorkshire pudding. I think he was probably trying to, like, because he saw that I had one on my plate, perhaps he was thinking, let's not make fun of this person. Not yet, wait till he's gone, and we'll make fun of him. They're probably sitting at home now, telling their kids, we saw this man, cooked breakfast, he only had a Yorkshire pudding on his plate. They've been talking about it for years. But yeah, it was quite nice because, you know, it was unusual. You know, Yorkshire pudding and some egg. Very unusual. So we have the dinner and the breakfast, rather. I'm guessing it was about 10 o'clock. No, probably 10:30. About 10:30 we got there, I'd say. 9:30, yeah. Probably 10:15, 10:30. I got back here, before 11. No, did I? No, I think I got back here about 11:30. Something like that. So we were probably in there about an hour. And we were just talking about Uncle's sausages, and they were telling me stuff that I'd not heard before, and I was telling them stuff that they'd not heard before, because I had a lot more contact with him than anyone else. I was the only person that had regular contact with him, as in face to face. Because he was always, whatever he did, he was like a little school kid sometimes, like a little naughty boy. Because whenever he did something that was a bit, I don't know, okay, he'd do something and he'd say, don't tell her. That was his, the other lady. And she looked out for him. She brought him, used to get him food once a month and water him and have him over Christmas. So she'd known him for a long time, or he'd known her for a long time, about 30 odd years. But whenever he did anything that was like that he knew that she'd disapprove of, it'd swear me to secrecy. Don't tell her. She'll tell me off. I'll be in trouble. It's like, you're 78 years old. What do you mean you'll be in trouble? You can literally do pretty much anything you want and get away with it, within reason. And just like, oh, sorry, I'm old. I didn't realise what I was doing. Oh, sorry. Even in hospital, it's like, well, when something happened, he'd say, don't tell her. Don't tell her. Don't tell her. It's like, what do you mean, don't tell her? Well, she's on holiday. She's. It was her birthday today, and I don't want her to be upset. I mean, this is when he was given some really, really bad news. I don't tell her. Don't let her know, because it's her birthday today, and I don't want to ruin her birthday. So I kept my promise, and he told her a couple of days later. It turns out it wasn't her birthday. Her birthday was like 3 weeks ago. And I think she was a little bit annoyed with me because I didn't tell her. But he promised, he don't tell her. If you tell her, I'll know you told her. So yeah, but she needs to know. He'd known me for 10 years, but he'd known her for a lot longer. And he's like, don't tell her. If you'd had a bit of difficulty during the night, don't tell her. It's between me and you. What? In the end, I mean, I say in the end, but like after a couple of weeks of this, I just decided just to tell her stuff. I said, this is something else he told me not to tell you. And it's funny because sometimes she say to me, yeah, he said the same to me, don't tell you. So he's supposed to say the same thing and then saying, don't tell them. Don't tell Jason what happened. So yeah. It's weird when I talk about him. I miss him. He's such a character, really. I nearly made a podcast episode with him. And he wanted to do something in the hospital. And I thought it'd be good to do. But then I also knew that we were going to be interrupted continuously, which is not anyone's fault. It's just, the hospital wasn't there as a recording studio for me and him. And then also I said, well, yeah, I can bring a recorder in and we could do something. He said, well, go home and write a script. I said, I don't write scripts for these Let Me Bore You to Sleep podcasts. He said, oh, come on, put your thinking head on. It's like, I'm not Wurzel Gummidge. Go on, you can. He was like really, it's almost like he was in the middle of being rude and being complimentary at the same time. So on one level saying, pull your finger out, just put a bit of effort in, but at the same time saying, you can do it. You can write a really clever script and then make it funny, and it's like, yeah, but that's not how I do things. It has to be organic, and it has to be just go with it and see what happens. And that was, I mean, literally the last time we talked about that was just before I got COVID and had to have a week off, and when I came back he was asleep all the time. So I kind of just wish I'd just done it. Just I brought it in and said to him, look, I'll just edit it. We'll do it, just talk about your life. Talk about, whatever. Just so that, because at this point I'd been talking about him. Since he went in there, I've been talking about him. And I kind of feel that maybe some listeners get a sense of what he was like, and but it'd be I think it'd be nice to have a voice to listen to hear him. You know, yeah. Oh well, I do think about that with like Luke. I didn't have his voice. I mean, I had one video of him with Andre, or was he with Vinny? I don't know, but he was. I think it might have been Vinny, and like he was there and he was like playing with him and stuff. And I had some videos of him with Andre and pictures and stuff, but I didn't really have his voice on there. I had nothing with his voice on, and there's a specific reason for that, because he never wanted to be on camera, didn't want me filming him or recording him. I said to him, why don't we just do a podcast? You know, one time, just a one-off. No, he 100% did not want. It's almost like he didn't want any record of himself on any type of digital format. And it's a shame, because it would have been nice. Because the thing about him and Uncle Sausages, when they smiled, they really smiled. You know, you could say that about anyone really, couldn't you, I suppose? But there was a brightness to it. There was a real uplift to their smile. That was genuine. It was never fake. I never saw Luke put a fake smile on the whole time I knew him. And Uncle Sausages is the same. You know, it didn't have to. They were never in scenarios where they had to put on a fake smile. So when they did smile, I mean, Uncle Sausages was smiling a lot because he loved sport. He was always excited about the next sporting event. Luke, he smiled when it was just genuinely a smile. If that makes sense. The one thing that Uncle Sausages, I noticed this when I was in hospital. Actually, it wasn't only, I noticed it probably because last year we got a lot closer, the last year anyway. And I noticed that when he looked at me sometimes, he reminded me of my nan, his eyes. He had this sort of same kind of look in his eyes, like smiley eyes that my nan had. And I noticed that in hospital, that he had that look, and it just kept reminding me of my nan. That kind of looking up at me with that smile. The eyes, it didn't need to be smiling with his face, his eyes were smiling. And yeah, so I had my breakfast, came back, gave Vinny the sausage. He didn't want it. He was really grumpy. He turned his nose up at it. What's that smelly thing? I don't want that. It's like I literally stole the sausage from the restaurant for him. Put it in a napkin. It wasn't really stealing, because I was being very loud with it. Like, I can't believe I've never stole a sausage before. I'd paid for the sausage. I don't think it's really stealing, is it? I don't think so. If you go into McDonald's and you shove, say you got a quarter pounder with cheese, fries, and a McMuffin, and you shove the McMuffin down your pants, it's not stealing, is it? Because you bought it already. So I brought the sausage back, and he didn't want it. He had the ump with me. He really was grumpy with me. So I didn't have anything to eat, because I wasn't hungry at that point. I sat down for a little while, and then I went to bed. I needed to go and have a lie down. So he came into the bed with me. Still didn't want the sausage, because I brought the sausage into the bedroom with me. And so when I go into the bedroom, I take his food and his water in the bedroom with me, and I bring it back in here. So whatever room we're in, I make sure he's always got his water and his food. And I was probably had about half hour, an hour, little kip for about half hour to an hour, maybe an hour, listening to some music. Radio 3 is my go-to at the moment. A lot of classical sound music on there, orchestras and stuff like that. And I've really kind of fallen in love with Schindler's List album, the music for the movie. It's something about that do 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 do. Oh, it's chips, it's chips. I don't know. I can't remember what the song is, but it's a good song. And I still think that Bon Jovi's greatest song, well, we're talking about songs, Bon Jovi's greatest song was Living on a Prayer. Because that was out at the same time as The Final Countdown by Europe, I do believe. It's the final countdown. Because I used that in a joke. It's kind of ruined because I've said it, but when I was in my last job, they were making loads of redundancies and stuff like that, and the man who was representing the company, the financial company that just bought the company I was working for, they didn't know what they were going to do with it. They were looking for buyers, and they just bought it for the money. Yeah, bought it for the probably the building and whatever else. So he said, well, we're going to try and get a buyer for this insurance company. We're going to be splitting things up, but we're going to try and get a buyer for the car insurance side. But what we're going to do, we'll be honest with you, we don't know what's going to happen. And he said, but we want to stay positive. We appreciate you and, all that stuff. And he played a little video, like showing the company that he belonged to, because they were like one of these acquisition companies. So they'd buy something, and sometimes all they'd do it is because they wanted the business, the customers, and then they could just sell those customers to a different insurance company. So he had this like little video. This is what we do, and this is and then he said, he played some music, and he said, well, we're going to end this now. We're going to end this this little session, because they shut all the phones off and everything. So it was probably about 150 of us in there, maybe less. I don't know, maybe 150, maybe 100. I don't know. I didn't count everyone. And he had this CD player, and he said, so we'll end this now with a song. What would be a suitable song to end this little session with? And I shouted out, The Final Countdown. And it got a good laugh, because it was like, it was the final countdown for the company, literally, because they did close. He didn't find it funny, and neither did my supervisor. But I thought it was quite quick of me. Bearing in mind the situation, I think it was a scenario, I think I was quite quick. But it was ruined by me telling you right at the beginning, pretty much, that I was going to shout out, it was the final countdown, because I'd already mentioned it. But Living on a Prayer, I mean, Bon Jovi they really became like absolutely massive in the early 90s, didn't they? Like huge. Axl Rose was like the biggest thing in the world. But I still think Like a Prayer in 1985, was it? Still the best thing they did. So good. Such a great song. In fact, I don't even remember anything they did in the 90s. I know You Give Love a Bad Name. That was also in the 80s. But they were like a super group, weren't they? They were absolutely massive in the 90s. Huh. And then I got up. I took Vinny for another wander around the park. Oh, yeah. That's when we're going through the field. It's a cornfield. You know, like sweet corn on a cob? Sweet corn. They're growing sweet corn. I'm talking millions of sweet corns, probably. Hundreds of thousands of sweet corns. Maybe millions, I don't know. Too many to count. Or too many for me to count. And they're in like 4 or 5 fields. Absolutely huge amounts. And I didn't know it was a sweet corn. And I saw one on the floor. I said, why has someone dropped a sweet corn on the floor? And I saw that what it is someone had clearly just picked one off and stripped it off. And it wasn't ripe. But it was definitely a sweet corn. And I'm thinking, how much do the sweet corns cost in the shop? About £2 per sweet corn or something. And I'm literally walking through a field, millions of pounds worth of sweet corns. And it was just for the first time, it's really weird. Because I've never really felt that way about... Because I don't know much about crops. I don't know much about, what things are worth. But I do like sweet corns. And I know that they're not cheap. And to literally just pass thousands. I could just put my hand out and touch thousands as I walked up of sweet corns. And I was like, I'm thinking when they're ripe, maybe I'll just take a few for myself. And maybe the rest of the country, take all of them. Maybe just take one and see if I'm able to actually eat it. And if I am, then next year I'll do the same thing and just maybe put a few in the freezer or something. I mean, is it stealing? It's coming out of the earth, our earth that we all share. And it's in a public place. I don't know. Is it? It's not that I want to. I mean, to me, is that any different from just taking raspberries? Picking raspberries, or picking bananas off a tree or apples off a tree. I mean, there's this tree. It's an apple tree at the park. It's inside someone's garden, but there's a fence, so half the apples are dropping on the field, on the park. Every day, I'd say probably at least 10, 15, 20 apples falling down. I'm exaggerating for effect, but a good few, at least probably a handful, a bowlful of apples falling down into the park. It's free apples. What do? I kick them. I kick them. I kick them, and then I forget how to say the word "kick them" or the sentence. I kick them along because Vinny loves chasing them, and he eats them. And for some reason, because they're in a tree, I kind of think, oh, there's got to be something wrong with them. But the fact is, they've fallen out of the tree because they're ripe and they're ready. Nothing's forced them out of the tree. It wasn't windy or anything. It's just it's time for them to fall out. And I could have literally just picked them up, brought them home, and eaten them. Cleaned them off first, got rid of the skin, because make sure there's nothing in them. But I could have had an apple. I could have put them all in the freezer with my sweet corn. Put them in the freezer with the sweet corn. I must have a huge freezer. I did see these sweet corns. I would say they're about 10, 15 foot high. Not the sweet corns themselves, but the plants. Really way taller than me. Maybe not 15 foot, but probably a good 10 foot, I'd say. Yeah, well taller than me. A lot taller than me, and I'm 8 foot. So it's quite a good place for animals to sort of hang out and hide. And the other day I saw a Bambi run right out of one and then into another one, out of one field and into another field, because they're like really close together. Made me jump, it did. That's the whole story. There isn't anything else. I can't see nothing else. That was everything. Sorry. Then I came home again. Had those deliveries. I also got a few grocery deliveries. Between 2 and 4. But they weren't groceries. It was, but it was just like bottles of water, some breakfast cereals, and a couple of packets of Viddy's treats. No food. I mean, breakfast cereal is food, but no like food. My fridge is empty, apart from milk. I got some milk as well. So other than milk, some butter and some margarine and half a tin of dog food, there's nothing in my fridge. Loads of breakfast cereal, though. Yeah. So what I'll do tomorrow, I'm going to have to try and get some groceries, some actual food in. I'll figure that out tomorrow. I could get something tonight, but I don't need to. I don't need to get anything. I've got enough for my breakfast in the morning. Yeah, that's fine. And I'll have some breakfast. I'm going to have a bowl of breakfast cereal now, because I had a cooked breakfast earlier, cooked dinner, whatever. And then tomorrow I'll probably get some, I don't know, I'm not sure, but get a few groceries to get them delivered tomorrow morning when I'm up. And then I did this recording, and that's kind of what I've done today. Although the council called me yesterday to say, have I got the key? Have I still got the key to Uncle Sausage's flat? And I said, yeah. And they said, you're going to bring it into us to the office? I said, no. That's going to cost me probably 40 quid to get there and back. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. I said, you want the key, come and get it. Or I'd said, all I can do is I can just leave the key in the door, in the lock, for you. So then when you come round, you can just let yourself in. And she said, no, can't do that, because someone might come in and basically, what do they call it? Live there for free. I said, well, it's up to you, but... And then she said, if you emptied it, if you cleared all the stuff out, I said, no, because I did try, and first of all I was told that we needed to do that, so I offered to help to bag stuff up, put it outside, and I did about 50, 60 bags. And then when I was a little bit unwell, I went in there and bagged up probably about another 50 bags of stuff. So I've cleared most of the stuff apart from the furniture. So most of it is actually bagged up. I've left about 50 bags in there, and the council can come and take that. The reason I didn't put those outside is because the council told me I didn't need to. They said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll sort it out." And then she calls up and says, "Have I done it?" I'm like, no. So, and then the council, they were here today emptying the flat downstairs. And I went down and I said, I was just checking, do you want the key for Uncle Sausage's flat? And they said, no. I said, I'm just asking because the council phoned me yesterday and they said you're going to be coming round. And she said, no. He said, I don't know anything about it. I said, okay, don't worry. So it might be a different crew that come round next week or tomorrow, whenever they come. I don't know. But I can't guarantee I'm going to be in. It's not that I go out a lot, but I might, I might be in bed, might be asleep. I might be taking Vinny to the park. So, yeah, it's not that I'm going to be out raving. Rave on, tell me. I got Buddy Holly in my head recently. Do you ever, sit around thinking, I wonder what Buddy Holly would have done if he'd been around for a long time? Because he was young. He was like 22 years old, I think, when he he'd had his fame and he was gone. And he was so prolific in such a short time. Imagine what he could have accomplished by the time he got to 30, musically. He could have been... he could have been the big... I mean, he was big, but he could have been like... But you think now, he'd be in his... Wow. So he's in his early 20s, in the 50s. So he'd be in his 90s now, I guess. But he might have been... A lot of stuttering in this one today. Have you noticed that? He might have been like the most prolific songwriter of all time. And there's a few really prolific songwriters, but he might have been the number one. Wow. I remember, in the 90s, I serenaded a lady that I met. And I sung True Love Ways. She said, I said, are you... I'm not going to be rude about it. I said, so I'm never really sure when a woman's turned on. And she said, you know when I'm turned on. I said, why? She said, well, if I'm enjoying... I like getting serenaded to. And when I'm serenaded to, that turns me on more than anything in the world. I said, really? She said, yeah. So I sung True Love Ways to her. Never saw her again after that. After I sung the song, she said, get out. I don't know. I thought it went quite well. I saw her a few years later, right? Because she was around the comedy scene. And I said, do you remember that night? She said, yeah. I said, what did I do wrong? You said you liked Buddy Holly and you liked being serenaded. She said, yeah. I said, what? You didn't. I sung it and then you kind of didn't want me. You asked me to leave sort of straight away. And she said, yeah. I said, well, I'm just wondering for the future, what could I have done different? She said, well, it was a nice song. I said, yeah. She said, it was sung nicely. You know, I said, it's a song I like and it was sung nicely. I said, okay. So where did I go wrong? She said, the striptease. If you didn't need that, didn't need you to be stripping off while singing it. I said, okay, I know what striptease is. She said, also that attitude of yours. I said, okay, fair enough. So I learned something new. I try and learn something new every day. Well, I don't try, but I think I probably do learn something new. I don't know what I've learned today. I think I'm trying to learn about myself. How do I tick? Why do I tick? What do I really feel about things? Who am I really? Who am I really? Where am I going? What am I doing and why? So on that note, this has been quite a long recording, but I think I needed to do a long recording because I haven't done one for a while. Tomorrow I will be doing a Q&A Friday, so there's still time. If you go to my Facebook group, Jason Newland's Boring Group, there's a link on my website. You can leave me a question underneath the image that I posted, which basically says if you any questions for this week's Q&A Friday, and there's the date, which is the 29th of August. There's a few questions already, but you're welcome to add more. Ideally, I would say try and do it before lunchtime, UK time, tomorrow, because I've got a tendency of doing these normally at about afternoon time. Sometimes the morning, but generally maybe afternoon, because if it was just for like half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, I might do it in the morning, but because they're a longer recording, the Q&A Fridays, I like to give myself a bit of time and space. So that's me done for today. Thank you for listening, and remember to be kind to yourself because you do deserve to be happy. Lots of love. Bye.